Good evening and welcome to Separated by Water, the podcast for people who from over here who support teams from over there. My name is Colin Campbell. I'm a Spurs season ticket holder for my sins. My co-host Paul Galt, Nottingham Low. And we have a real reactionary programme, I think, today to recent events. So we'll just really get stuck into it. Paul, the elephant in the room, Morgan Gibbs White, you'll have to have been on another planet not to sort of heard that name in sports circles. From Forest's point of view, what has happened here?
Good evening. Well, what has happened is that up until Wednesday evening, I knew nothing about any transfer. I texted you, and I said that there was rumours of Morgan Gibbs White going to Spurs. That was the first I heard of it. Yeah. Next thing on Thursday, I heard he was going for a medical, and I believe now that there's an allegation of tapping up, where a player is approached illegally by a team. I think it's not an anomaly. I think this happens all the time. That said, there is a confidentiality matter around the release clause that was meant to be confidential, that they didn't. So agents talk to one another. So at the end of the day, ultimately, I think Forest have dropped the ball here. When Forest brought Morgan Gibbs White to the team, he wasn't a 60 million player, but he's more than a 60 million player now in today's market. As crazy as it sounds. So what I think has happened is they've got to know about it. They've come in and they've tried to buy him for 60 million. And will they get him for 60 million? I don't know what's going to happen now. I'm waiting to see. I believe that he'll still go to Spurs. I believe that he is he's no more use to us as a player, because I think once they decide to go to a team, they're unsettled and they go. What unsettled them? Probably the approach. The big lights. Brennan Johnson and him are very good friends. So it's, that right. There's loads of different layers to this that you have to consider. But at the end of the day, I think he's gone. I think Forest have dropped the ball. They should have reviewed his contract. That said, I understand that Milenkovic should come in to Forest or is in a bigger, gets more salary and is in a bigger contract than what Morgan Gibbs White is. And Morgan Gibbs White was meant to be the person that we were building our team around, the talisman that we build the team around. Yeah. And Nuno has improved his game inexplicably. He's a fantastic player, and I've often talked to you about it, and I felt as if you were just sort of like it was going over your head. You are getting an amazing talent, Colin. I mean, he's creative to the inch. He can create. He can find a ball diagonally. Now he can lose the ball a wee bit as well, but you're not going to try these moves and not lose it. But it's a bad week for Forest all round. We've lost Elanga. We've lost this. The good news is, we'll talk about that in a minute, we're being promoted to the Europa League. So it's being a Forest supporter is never quiet. It's never easy. And Marinakis has sent a letter to the Premier League making a complaint. Is he right to do so? Probably. Is it going to make much difference? Probably not. But at the end of the day, he's made the complaint now, and it's stalled it. So that tells me, the fact that he made the complaint and it stalled the whole thing completely tells me that there's something not right going on. So maybe Levy, maybe it's agents. I don't know. Your recruitment team, have they done it? Went about it wrong? I don't know. But ultimately, I still think he'll end up at Spurs.
Yeah, I suppose none of us knows it. From my point of view, I stay away from the Spurs transfer speculation at this time of the season, because it usually does my head in. We're linked with everyone and end up with no one. So with the Kudus thing coming from West Ham, okay. When you contacted me, that was the first time I even considered this. I thought Gibbs White was staying where he was, and that there was no issue about that. A couple of points you made. You wanted the confidentiality around the buyout clause, or whatever they're called. The analogy I use was, if I'm selling my house and you ask me what I want for it, and I go, I'm not telling you, it's confidential. It seems to be a strange way. How Spurs got to hear about it, I know that it'd be irritating if perhaps Forest had wanted a bidding war, and they're getting that money only. But then we say, well, they set the clause in the first place. If Spurs have done wrong, I would like them to be acknowledged. Yeah, I don't think it's fair. It happened to us with Berbatov, happened to us with Modric nearly twice,
Remember that.
and Bale, so on, so on. So I understand what it feels like. From my own point of view, as a die-hard Spurs fan, if he's an asset, well, I would love to see him in the Spurs shirt. But there's how you come to this as well as what you do, And I'd like to be reassured that Spurs have done nothing wrong, And there is a difference between doing nothing. It did seem quite quick that 1 minute there's no noise, the next minute he's heading to London for a medical. Now, it's so unlike Spurs because they usually find many ways to make a mess of it. There was the Willian guy who was going for a medical at Tottenham. He did a medical and then went and joined Chelsea. And I don't think this is through the door yet, but we'll see. I mean, what will happen?
I will say that I'm going to take a leaf out of your book because I'm doing my own head and trying to work out who's moving where, who's coming in, who's going. And a lot of times people, you can look up a player and see their best bits on YouTube and it doesn't really mean an awful lot. You can get excited if somebody comes in because, it's happened before to us that we've had a player in and he's nothing like what his best bits are on YouTube. Yeah. But look, ultimately, I think Forrest have dropped the ball here. Marinakis is trying to damage limitation. He's trying to now. Ultimately, I think what will happen is we'll probably get a few more quid. But just on your analogy you used there, I'm trying to buy your house. This isn't about the purchase price. This is about if somebody wants to take him, they have to pay the 60 million, and it's not meant to be told. It's not meant to be known unless they make an approach to the club. And the club has no such approach, according to Nottingham Forest.
I think that's how they do it in Scotland, which is where you're coming from. But the analogy, it's the first time I've ever heard that a buyout clause was confidential. Usually, you know about them because you hear it. I think it was recently Chelsea or Arsenal met the buyout clause. United met Wolves buyout clause for I don't know where he went. And I would like the business to be clear. I hope it doesn't unsettle for us in an own way because with Elanga, who will come to, I'll ask you about in a minute. I don't want them to be perceived as a selling club. They've got where they are now. I know they brought in Yeyu from Brazil, but he's young. There's a lot. He has to prove himself yet. Whereas these were two guys who got you up towards the top of the table.
Yeah.
So Morgan Gibbs White, let's see.
Yeah, these two guys, Morgan Gibbs White and Anthony Elanga, were our goal scorers. Callum Hudson-Odoi, but these two were
why is Elanga
creative.
Why?
Sorry. Well, Anthony Monaghan, who comes on here for the Newcastle thing, he texted me the other day and said, Morgan Gibbs White going to Spurs, is this an FFP or a PSR problem? Or FFP, I should say. And I said, I do read an awful lot, and half of I'm reading maybe is nonsense, I don't know, but I said, I have an interest in the club and I want to find out as much as I can. My understanding that we did not have a PSR problem at this stage, that we were intended to keep our players. My understanding from all the different podcasts and stuff you listen to, the Forest were not a selling club. We were building a team together. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you what it has done is damn it. I'm now realizing I'm very naive when it comes to players kissing the badge and saying I'm staying. I know, Colin, I'm not stupid, but I did believe that these players were in a good place playing for Forest under Nuno. They were all happy. They seem to want to keep doing what they're doing, and they got a place in Europe. They got their bonuses, and then next thing, Anthony Elanga's away. Now I understand Anthony Elanga. We weren't going to keep him forever. How Man United got rid of him for 13 million. I have no clue. He's speed alone.
And City seem to have let players go very cold hammer, very cheaply. Peter Taylor. your old number 2,
Yeah.
Clough, once said, it related to Peter Forrest a bit. He said there's knowing when to buy, but there's also knowing when to sell. And Jonathan Northcott, the excellent journalist in the Sunday Times last week, had done a piece about the skill in selling. And his contrasts were that Brighton have been very good at this, whereas Man United have been a mess and have a lot of players knocking about that they want rid of, but they can't seem to get any money back from them, you know.
Yeah.
That's not for me to name those players, but I took his point, and I was wondering, is moved by Forrest to say, okay, some of these we're going to take a hit, but we'll get big money, and we may be better in the longer run as a result of this. It's hard to know because I was, when we finished the season together on the podcast, I did not envisage any of this. In fact, it was I who was sort of saying to you, look, maybe Forrest could help themselves with some of these young guys by bringing in, I'd mentioned the Vardys, the Grealishes, the Hendersons of the world, you know, a free transfer of sorts to come in and steady the ship. I had not. But if he comes to Spurs, of course, I know where my loyalties are. I hope he does well. If he does. But I still think there are a few hoops to jump yet. And Elanga, I mean, that seemed to be a mystery to me. One thing I did say to you, I remember saying to you was, would a player leave Forest to go to Newcastle? And I was kind of saying, look, Newcastle aren't an elite club. Why would Forest strengthen a direct competitor? And I think that just under the top eye, Spurs, Forest, Newcastle, Villa, probably, you know. So that kind of made me, what on earth is that about? But I'm sure they know what they're doing.
This creates a problem for us on several levels. One is our goal scoring capability has diminished. The second thing is that people know that we've got 120 million sitting loose change in their pockets. They're not going to be coming in looking for 30 million for a player. They're going to be coming in saying, oh, you have plenty of money, so let's be seeing it. And so our creative purchasing is going to be negated. You know, we sold. I spoke to Charlie earlier on this about the three subjects we're talking about, just to get his, because he's very level-headed compared to me. I get all excited and wound up about these things, where he doesn't. He said he's seen it all. He's seen, you know, he does. He just said there'll be other players, there'll be other stars. I don't see it like that. I see as if this. Well, I did say on here, this is without a doubt probably my favourite team of Forest of all time, and now it's been dismantled and it's been ripped out. Excuse me.
Okay.
But we bought Elanga for 15 million, and we sold him for 55. Excuse me, and 8.25 million of a sell-on clause goes to Man United, which means we made 31 million. You don't make 31 million off a player too often, and Man United certainly don't. And that's probably the best business that Man United have done all
the sell-on to you. I accept all of that, and I do know what you mean. I've been around a long time, but probably I have that little emotional draw to the 81 Spurs team, and probably the Pochettino 18-19 team, maybe a wee bit earlier than that, which stayed unbeaten in my heart in all season. So I know what you mean. And I didn't want that team to break up, and I understand where you're coming from, and I understand. However, this is what's happened. I don't think it was any. I mean, it seemed Forrest wanted to sell Elanga, or happy to let him go. Because I
don't think they had much choice in the matter. I don't think. But I know by the reaction that Marinakis did not want to sell Morgan Gibbs White. His reaction, I think he feels as if he's been signed. You know, they've caught them out. What Morgan Gibbs White wants to do, I'm not sure, because he hasn't made a statement. Now, Elanga made put out a lovely tweet that he you know, and you could say, yeah, but he put out a tweet, what of it. He doesn't have to put out a tweet. But he said that he really appreciated the support he got at Nottingham Forest. He loved the place, he loved the fans, and it'll always hold a place in his heart. It's time to move on. He's moved on, and I was over that. I got over that fairly quickly. Although he'll still be missed. I think he's a lovely player. I think he's a lovely guy. He's incredibly intelligent. He speaks 7 languages. You know, but the speed,
Right. Well, they need
the
to
speed.
Jordan.
Yeah, well, he's going to learn a new one. Yeah, aye, man. But yeah, so Anthony texted me that on Friday, and I said it's not a PSR problem that we're doing this for. So for some reason, I don't know how it's happened. I don't think it's going to be reversed. I think he'll be in a lily white shirt by the start of the season, and he'll be feeding balls to Brendan Johnson, because the two of them link up beautifully. I mean, beautifully. And I've no doubt that somewhere along the way we'll learn that there is he had an influence in getting him transferred.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And Johnson, obviously. Well, I've been known to say a few words about him in the past, so we'll move quickly on. One other signings, but we'll Spurs. Go ahead.
See, just on that, sorry, I was listening to something on the radio the other day, and I thought Colin gives Brendan Johnson an awful hard time. He ended up being your top goal scorer for the year.
Right? Yeah. Look, I've been clear about this. A couple of remarks about him during the season. I was taken to task. One I can remember was about he was injured. Somebody gave him a dirty look. I then came through and said, my point is that I believe that he has more talent than he's demonstrating currently. I think there should be more to come from him. And I think he needs to give himself that kick up the backside, so to speak. I said the same with Jermaine Jenas a lot of years ago. And I watched him a couple of times when he forgot the finger out. He ran the show himself, once against Reading and once against Arsenal. Actually. So that's what I want from Brennan. I want them to see, right, my goal, or whoever's goal it was, won the Europa League. I'm that level now. I'm going to do that. I'm going to impose myself on games, destroy fullbacks, get into the back post and score. And I want them to do that. And if Morgan Gibbs White's there, whoever it might be, I want them to feed him and we'll all be happy. Thomas Frank's coming in, the word I used about him coming in is I'm intrigued. I'm not really the wiser. My Spurs play subscriptions come up, so I'll get the chance to have a look in there and see what's going on. It's like Spurs TV. Kudos coming in. What I know about him, I like, but again, as you said before, watching highlights on YouTube can be very misleading because make these guys look brilliant whenever maybe that was the only 3 things in the season. But we'll see what we like about him. It's not. It's dear, big money. Question: it's going to. I just Enoch being Enoch. We spent over 100 million so far. If you could include Tell and the Japanese guy Taka or however that's price was only 5. I'm wondering who's going to go to fund this. Will it be a Romero or a Van den Ven or some maybe will move for a big salary to Saudi Arabia or something, but I don't think it will attract a big fee. I think Romero, Van den Ven, there might be we rob Peter to pay Paul. So our close season's really only taking shape now. First game's against Reading, but we'll see how that goes. I'm just not sure. But I'd be as interested in who doesn't.
You said that previously on here that you said that you want Spurs to go out and buy accomplished players. Is that what they're doing now? Do you see Morgan Gibbs White? Is he in the caliber of player that you want them to buy, or do you feel you want better than that again? Or
yeah, I know what you mean. That's a good question. I think it's 2-pronged. I'd probably use the figure about 100 million, or whatever it might be, which is illustrative. I think Morgan Gibbs White is, because I think it was off there. It said although he's 60 million, you think he's about 80 million value today. And say that's true. That is what I'm talking about. Kudos 55. And I'm not saying players, the price dictates how good they are. It's all in about what we were usually doing when we pushed the boat out a bit. Maybe Morgan Gibbs White, if he enhances his England career, could be that kind of game-changing player I'm talking about. Now, we strengthened there, had strengthened a bit up front, and had our proper defence, which was the one which won the Europa League in Bilbao. I think we would be interesting. And we play, we recognise the value of defence. I think it would be interesting. But yeah, Morgan Gibbs too, whenever I was talking about it. value, but also the type of player who can change a game,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I would say on that is, I believe that if a team had come in, and I'm not saying that it was an illegal approach, I'm saying if the allegation is right, and a team was coming in through the front door of Nottingham Forest and saying, we want to buy Murky and Gibbs White, you would not have been hearing 60 million, you'd have been hearing 80 or 90 million from. I can't wait. We record this on Sunday night. I'll put this out tomorrow morning. So tomorrow morning, I'm expecting some sort of a statement to be made, and some news on it. Morgan Gibbs White has been silent. He's probably been told by his agent to remain silent. I know he's in Nottingham. He lives in Nottingham. He's been seen out and about with Nando's in Nottingham, and seems to be very content and happy. I don't know if he's just been swept along with the whole thing, but I did hear somebody in the radio saying today, Thomas Tuchel, they believe that Thomas Tuchel has said to certain players, you're not going to get into the team whilst playing for Nottingham Forest. You have to play for one of the top 5 or 6. And I heard it in the radio today.
Really?
Spurs ended up in 17th place last year.
Yeah,
and I'm not slagging him. I'm not ribbing about it. I'm just saying, can you be sure that Forest, or can you be sure that Spurs are going to finish any higher this year?
Exactly. If he said that, it's a very, very stupid thing. The England World Cup one had players in '66. Admittedly, things have changed, but I think it was Leicester City, Blackpool, Fulham. There are Leeds in there, Liverpool and Man United, obviously. But Everton, there were a number of teams who were lesser lights in the day. And I think it should not prohibit players from playing for their country. I'd be very annoyed if Tuchel had said something like that, because I don't think it's fair. Because he's in deliberately or inadvertently.
I heard that in 5 Live and on Talk Sport that Thomas Tuchel has told them that they have a better chance of getting into the England team if they're playing for one of the top teams. But
But then that starts out as talking the top team. I happen to think they are a top club, maybe, but not a top team. Look, I suppose all will be revealed, but I want to take you on to something that you had opinions about, and I want to ask you 2 things. Okay, I've been told they have been, in inverted commas, demoted to the European Conference League. Okay, is that right?
Yep.
Due to the ownership issues, and the Nottingham Forest chairman, whom we've already mentioned, wrote another letter. He must like letters to UEFA about this. Okay. What's your appraisal of Palace's demotion? They won the FA Cup. Nobody interfered with that. First time in their history, blah, blah, blah. And how do you feel about your chairman writing that letter?
Okay, I'll deal with the first bit first. I'm actually split down the middle on this, because I feel incredibly sorry for the Crystal Palace fans. I feel really sorry for them. They got the win in the FA Cup unexpected to them. And I suppose I'm sort of defending Steve Parish and the chair and Lenny Texter, John Texter. But at the end of the day, Forest have done nothing wrong here. We fell foul of PSR and we got our points deduction. The points deduction, and Crystal Palace fans were some of the ones that were saying it's not enough. 4 points isn't enough. So sauce is good for the goose, is good for the gander. What I would say is, I'm sorry that you get relegated, but rules are rules. And at the end of the day, they broke the rules. We didn't in this same thing. Our Marinakis put his excuse me, I have a frog with him. He put his shares into a blind trust to avoid this happening with Olympiacos. Had we have made the
what's the letter? Why did he write this letter? What's it got to do with it?
Well, the reason he wrote the letter is because Nottingham Forest stand to make a hell of a lot more money by being the Europa League than they do being the Conference League. And
Yeah,
Like
okay, but
if I run a business, he wasn't ratting them out. He was just stating the obvious. They knew that already. It was already being investigated. He just waded in, probably trying to influence the decision in some way to our benefit. But at the end of the day, Forest have done nothing wrong. Forest, the rules are the rules.
I know that. I appreciate that. That said, first off, yes, everyone with a heart for football, as a football fan, has a team at heart. Well, was delighted for Crystal Palace to have won the FA Cup, had it not been their own team. Probably that they beat City was even more fun. And happy that they were going into Europe in some shape or form. And we understand, well, rules are rules and they've broken them. Sorry, but that's that. Fair enough. And anyway, from their point of view, the conference we win. But I'm wondering why Nottingham Forest, I know they stood to gain, but if it was boxing match, the referee said, you go and stand in your corner and we'll make a decision here. Nothing to do with them. Did he think he needed to remind you of their own rules?
I appreciate there's times I feel that Marinakis, it's not the first time. He wrote that tweet that they was coming after the Premier League. He's wrote letters before. Yes. Does it embarrass me at times? Embarrass would probably be a bit strong, but yeah, sometimes I wish he would just let the matter take its course and let them sort it out and see what it is. But I have looked at it from both points of view, and I see why he done it, because he stands to make a lot more money. It's a much higher, prize money. Are we going to win the Europa League?
Yeah.
No. The other side of it is, and I didn't say this earlier on, I was excited for the Conference League because I think we could have won it. I don't think we're ready to win the Europa League. I don't think we're ready to win the Europa League.
And if I were trying to motivate Palace, that's what I was saying. We can win this, boys. We can win this. Yeah. Let's go for it. Now, Glasner's a smart boy. And I sung his praises all through last season, even the first 8 games. Yeah, and I like what he does. I like what he says. He's a smart guy. He knows he has to keep Palace on a good keel in the league. And he may see, on paper anyway, lesser teams in a European environment. Crystal Palace will go bucked off those nights. They really will. They're a good set of fans. And it may just work to their favour, whereas Forest might find, I think
we will.
Is it strong?
On the Crystal Palace, sorry for cutting across you. On the Crystal Palace thing, I heard an interview with John Textor. I don't know if you heard it, with Jim White and Simon Jordan one day during the week. I think it was maybe Monday or Tuesday. It was straight after the decision was made. The decision was made on Friday, I think, wasn't it? And
yes.
And Monday they had John Textor on, and they asked him the question: when you were sitting beside Prince William and you saw the cup being raised, did you think, "Oh no"? And his exact words, "Well, I thought, oh shit." So he knew that was a problem, and has still done nothing about it. So
that's why.
So it's down to him.
I accept that. Yes,
it's down to him, and it's down to Steve Parish.
He will say, probably never in a million years did I think Palace were going to win the FA Cup.
That's exactly what he
said. Every other man-based an animal would go, yeah, we agree, we did think about it. So I think it's probably one of those things. A police constable once said to me, car accidents don't happen, they're always caused. There's no such thing as an accident. He said, I know what he means. I think this is one which was just really bad luck. Where they live in a situation, and now they have, and maybe they need to look at it positively. Maybe Forest's, given their mini collapse, if you will, at the end of the year, I think belied the quality of the season your team had throughout the space of the year. Possibly Europa League's a better reward, and Palace will go into something they think they can win, and they'll win it, they'll go into the Europa League next year. It could open up things to them that they could only have dreamed of a while ago. But one last thing I just want to raise with you very quickly. You will know, or maybe you won't, that tonight Chelsea are playing PSG, Paris Saint-Germain, in the World Club Championship. Are you thrilled, excited, nervous? Could you not give a
I'm thrilled to watch PSG at the minute, I have to say. They made Real Madrid look very normal in the semi. I mean, like they are a machine, and I think we've said it before. I think the fact that the manager's come in, he's get rid of all the prima donnas. He has a team. He's built a team, and it's not the Messis. It's not this. Not it's a team of guys that are playing. Yeah, they're playing excellent football, and they're a pleasure to watch. Absolute pleasure to watch. And I know you probably think you might say different to this, but I think they're going to run through Chelsea and they're going to turn them inside out tonight. And I've no skin in the game. I don't mind. I don't mind who wins.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see benefits in each with each other and for each other, and it's refreshing to watch. I have a lot of time for Luis Enrique, both as a man and a manager. I wish him every success. Probably, whatever happens tonight happens. I have a funny feeling about Chelsea. And Chelsea are just that team that seem to do the stupid or the unobvious thing. They beat Bayern in their own stadium 15 years, whatever it was, years ago in the Champions League final. They've knocked out Barcelona when they should have been whacked. I just have a fun. But whatever it is, when Paris get to, it'll be the Udinese Stadium on 13th of August to play the European Super Cup against the mighty Spurs. I hope they're coming with their flip-flops on. That could
Sorry, what is that cup? What is that? What is that game? What does that qualify you? How do you get into that Super Cup?
You either win the Champions League or you win the Europa League.
Is that what it is? Right, okay.
It's a one-off. The Champions League pre-season market. It's often stated. So Champions League winners play the UEFA League winners and in a one-off match in a neutral ground, neutral country, Right. And it's the Udine Stadium in Udinese. Virtually impossible to get to from Belfast,
Is it basically like a charity shield sort of thing? The winner of the FA Cup, the winner of the league play one another.
Yeah. That's probably a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's like charity shield. It probably lifts the. I think what's good about it is this time, as Spurs are going into the Champions League, it'll give them a wake-up call. Whereas sometimes the team that may not be, in recent years, if you win the Europa League, you get into the Champions League. So sort of it's a wee preview. But yeah, it's a good way of putting it. It matters not, except to the supporters of the two teams playing in it.
Yeah. Probably. Well, it'd be nice to win it. I hope.
But you've got the World Club Championship, and then you've got the Super Cup. Yeah, it happens. But okay, I think that's everything.
Just I have one question for you. I heard it talked about in the radio last week. I think it might have been Cundy. I can't remember who it was. Do you think that Spurs should put a star on their shirt now for winning the Europa League, or is that solely for Champions League?
As I understand it, it's solely for the Champions League or the European Cup, as was.
Yeah.
Hence, your two stars and so. And I think it should stay that way.
Yeah, I think so too.
No,
I'm glad to see. I think it would be you would get a serious abuse from the other fans, the fans that had won the Champions League. It would be,
of course, I think sometimes you just gotta, see reality. We're delighted. I'm still on a high about winning that trophy, and that will continue probably until we start getting duffed next season. Having said that, let's be real. We won a trophy, but Paris Saint-Germain or something. And despite my quirky feeling about tonight, I imagine they'll win the French league for years to come. And while the current team and manager in place, I don't have a problem with that. During the season, they knocked out Liverpool, they knocked out Aston Villa. The game against Villa at Villa Park, Villa looked like they were going to pull it all back and do the impossible. And yeah, I watched them that night. God, you're a team of character now. Yeah. You're not a team of galacticos who don't really care. You're a team of character and fair play. And as I say, to play with each other and for each other. And that's what I love in a team. It's a team game for a reason, it's not like cricket or individuals who excel within a team sport, if you know what I mean, can carry the whole thing themselves. This was a team who realised each of them is invaluable to the other. So, okay.
Excellent. I just thought, at the time I was listening to it, I thought, I'll just ask Colin that the next time we're on and just see what he says. And I'm glad you gave the answer you did, because I think it's only appropriate that you add a star after winning the Champions League.
I'm only stupid at certain times and about certain things. I think I want Tottenham to earn that star.
Yeah. Do you think? What do you think the score will be tonight then? Chelsea, PSG.
I'm going to go out here.
What do you say? You just stole
2-1 Chelsea.
Wow.
It's probably 4-0.
In some ways I hope you're right.
We'll go and see.
Yeah.
What do you say?
I really can't see in any world that anyone will beat PSG. I really can't. Not the performance they put up against Real Madrid. They're a weapon of a team.
It was breathtaking. It wasn't. But I think it's Chelsea. It's all worryingly. It's all falling into shape.
It's amazing.
They take these
on Chelsea
seriously.
It's amazing if you look at the start of the season. Jackson for Chelsea, he was going to be their saviour. He was going to be, and I reckon he'll be up for sale after this competition.
He could well be. He could well be. I think it takes some time. And Chelsea are a winning machine, and they don't have a heart and soul the way the rest of us do. They deal in commodities, and some of the commodities are players. Then bring them in, throw them out again if they're just not doing it. That guy Pedro, who's just come, I think is worryingly good. He maybe just got the right person.
Oh my God! Like he was on the beach with his personal trainer, and he got the message that he was saying he went on a long haul plane, done a medical, and was on the pitch the next night, and scored 2 goals. Yeah, and he looks.
That's what I'm saying.
He looks extraordinarily good. He looks fantastically good. Just on our transfers, we've signed 2 from Botafogo. The Cunha guy got signed. They describe him as a box-to-box defender. He can go. He actually scored against PSG in this cup. It's not all darkness and gloom for Nottingham Forest. Although when I woke up last week, on Wednesday morning, I didn't think by the end of the day Morgan Gibbs White was going anywhere. And it's strange, Colin, because they used him for the new strip. He was used in the new strip. He made a statement a couple of days previous that Forest he wanted to continue on and make Forest great. So something very strange has gone on, and I'm really I'm almost wishing time away so I can find out what has went on. But we'll wait and see.
We'll come back. We'll come back whenever. What's going on?
Thanks for chatting to me about it tonight, and we'll do another episode when we know more. We'll have a bit of a chat. Anything else you want to add, Colin, before we go?
Not at the minute. No. I think we've covered everything. We want to be concise. We'll probably come back. I think there's more mileage in the Morgan Gibbs White scenario.
Yes.
When we find out A, what has happened, and B, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And we'll take it from there. How's that?
Yeah. That's perfect.
Look after yourself.
Thank you very much. Take care and
stay
safe, everybody. And we'll chat to you later.
One Spurs.